Hello everyone, I'm bringing you a video today looking at a recreation of the uniform and equipment of an Oberwachtmeister in the Volkspolizei Bereitschaften circa 1990, and in quite an interesting period of transition, of course, with the fall of the wall and then the reunification of Germany, and we'll talk a little bit more about that as the video progresses. To clarify the terms here, Oberwachtmeister is a German police rank, and talking about the Volkspolizei Bereitschaften, it's possibly best to talk about this in relation to military rank, and in the UK and the Commonwealth it's effectively equivalent to corporal. And the reason for talking about this in connection with military rank is the Volkspolizei Bereitschaften, much as the ready police forces in East Germany, so able to respond to civil unrest and so forth, they're actually a paramilitary organisation really, and were trained as infantry. Now this role would drop away with reunification, and what the period we're looking at here, 1990, the Leipzig Volkspolizei Bereitschaften were being transferred over to the Saxony State Police, which were being formed obviously as the state of Saxony, part of East Germany, was reunified with the rest of Germany. And you see the federal police force and the state police forces take over to basically follow the same model as you'd seen in the Federal Republic prior to this point. So you have this unification of the police forces and a change in the structure because of this. And the period we're looking at here is during this process, and the recreation is based on footage shot during this time period in 1990. So without further ado, we'll start having a look at the recreation here, talk a little bit more about the period as well and what was going on at the time, and a little bit more about the police force in general as well. So we can see an overview of the recreation here, and the basic uniform is essentially fairly standard East German fare. The jacket is a little bit different. We'll talk about that more in just a moment. Obviously you have the rank displayed with shoulder boards. We have the specialist riot equipment here as well, and we're going to look at that in a bit of detail as well. The Volkspolizei Bereitschaften, as I say, were a separate branch of the Volkspolizei, essentially organised basically as light motorised infantry, but fulfilling the riot police role as well. In time of war, the Volkspolizei Bereitschaften would be available to support the MVA, the National Volksarmy. They'd be available for defending targets within East Germany and carrying out sort of anti-espionage, anti-sabotage operations as well as required. That was the intention. And of course, in the end, they were deployed on their anti-riot duties towards the end of at least East Germany, famously in Leipzig. And we're obviously looking at the Leipzig Volkspolizei Bereitschaften here several months on in 1990, post fall of the wall, dealing with the transition from the Volkspolizei Bereitschaften to part of the state of Saxony Police. So a transition there, and the footage which this is based on shows that quite clearly, with the cockade of East Germany having been removed from the badge on the barracks, the sign outside the barracks, and replaced with the green and white Saxony cockade in the centre of that badge. So an era of transition, and quite interesting from that point of view. To get onto more detail of the uniform and equipment, we'll start at the top here with the helmet. And this is an East German anti-riot helmet. It's made of a hard plastic, has a liner and so forth in it, and leather, chin strap, and padding obviously to make it comfortable to wear and to provide protection to the head. We've looked at this in a previous video in some detail, but we'll have a look at the external details here. First of all, you can see this with the visor lowered, and this has an interesting shape to allow the hose of a respirator to pass down underneath the visor, so it's sort of curved around the front of the mouth, as you can see here. It's fitted to a metal bracket which then clips onto the helmet. It's very easy to unclip this. You just rock it all the way back and the visor unclips from the helmet if required. And it has flat sections on the end of the metal piece which holds it onto these brackets, meaning that when it's pushed up, it locks in place. You can also see the chin strap here and the chin cup coming round under the chin. To the rear, we have a nape protector which buttons in using press studs or snaps, and this is made of a faux leather and it's padded within, as you can see, and this provides protection to the back of the neck. And then you can see on the other side, with the visor raised, the chin strap coming up to a cam buckle, a metal cam buckle, through which it fastens, and the cam buckle is then closed and holds the strap in place to secure the helmet. So that's the helmet worn here. The basic uniform consists of strict-arm field service uniform, and the jacket we have here is actually a specific example issued to police, and I've talked about this previously on the channel in a separate video going over all the details which you can't see here, which I recommend going and have a look at if you're interested in this. It's a late production version of the field service jacket intended for issue to the police, and has various features which mark it out from those issued to the MVA. This is worn with a civilian shirt underneath, a t-shirt basically. This would not generally be common, but is common in the footage used to reference this from 1990, so I've copied that detail here. And you can see the buttoning collar liner is worn with this. You can see the line of grey and white at the collar, which shows that the collar liner is worn. Across the back of the jacket, you have the word Polizei stenciled in white paint. And this is something which is common to see very late on in East Germany in 1990. You see photographs and the footage that this is referenced from show this across the back of the uniform jacket. And this is an original jacket with that stencil across the back, so a very nice thing to have. Another detail while we're talking about the jacket, of course, rank is shown by shoulder boards, and in the footage this is referenced from, these are full colour shoulder boards. Subdued shoulder boards were produced for wear by the Volkspolizei Bereitschaften with the field service uniform, but in the footage I've referenced this from, they aren't used. The full colour shoulder boards are worn, and these, as you see here in this particular form, represent an Oberwachtmeister, as already mentioned. The trousers of the uniform are again of a 1980s pattern with leg pockets with concealed buttons on the flaps, and there's also a button tab at the ankle where these can be adjusted in around the boots. In terms of further anti-riot equipment, a baton is carried. This is made from a hard black rubber. It's moulded in one piece, and this gives the handle a textured finish while the rest of the baton is smooth. And this includes a small D-ring and a leather cord to go around the wrist, which you can see here. When not required, this can be clipped onto the belt. And this is achieved by a carabiner clip on a black leather belt loop, which you can see here. And this is carried on the typical brown leather belt with a two-prong buckle, extensively used by professional soldiers and also in the Volkspolizei Bereitschaften as well. In addition to the baton, a shield is carried, and you can see the distinctive shape of that here. And this is made of a grey fiberglass. And you can see on the back here the way this is gripped. You have a leather strap which goes around the forearm just beyond the elbow, and then obviously there is a handhold as well, and you can see that here. And moving right down to the bottom, the final thing to talk about, of course, is footwear, and we have here what would be colloquially referred to as jack boots, and these are tall leather boots, these particular examples being for professional soldiers or professional police, in this instance professional members of the Volkspolizei Bereitschaften, and these are of slightly better quality, a little bit taller than those issued to conscripts. You can't see that here, of course, because the trousers, the field service trousers, are actually worn over them. But you can see details of the pebble grain leather and the rubber soles here, much as you can't see the rest of the boots. I have covered the boots separately on the channel as well, if you'd like to take a detailed look at these. We'll have another quick look at the overview of the recreation here. Hopefully running through the details of this has clearly explained the uniform, the equipment and so forth. As I say, there are videos on the channel dealing with the jacket and the helmet in particular in more detail, and the boots as well. And there'll be more videos going forward talking about the various elements we see here in more detail as well. Always nice to make videos talking about sort of sets of equipment and recreations of period uniforms and equipment as we have here. So I hope you found it interesting looking at this. I say I've had the jacket, which we've looked at in a previous video, for a little while now, and it's really nice to be able to put together this full set of equipment for this very late period in the history of East Germany. And as I say, hopefully you found it interesting looking at this, and it's been quite informative. As I say, the original footage is linked and worth going and having a look at. And obviously, unfortunately, no closed captions, but you can get an idea from what you're looking at. And obviously with a smattering of German, which luckily I have, you can get an idea of what's going on in the video. So as I say, hopefully it's been interesting looking at this. If you have found it interesting and you'd like to see more of this sort of thing, please do consider subscribing if you haven't already. And whether you're newly subscribing or you've previously subscribed, please do make sure you hit the little bell, the notification button down below, and that will of course alert you when I upload future videos. That's everything for this video. So until next time, bye for now.